Now that we've talked about activation, let's get into release. Release is such an important step in the process because this is how we improve your mobility, we release that tight and restricted fascia in the feet, and this will give you a much smoother process into barefoot or minimalist shoes. One of the best ways to release restricted tissue in the feet is self-myofascial release, or what I like to call is just fascial release. One of my favorite tools to use for fascial release is the Spacer Mobility 8-ball. Now what we're gonna do here is place the ball on the ground, and the first part of the foot we're gonna hit is the MTP joint. That's this joint that runs across the bottom of the toes. So we're going to place that joint on the ball, and we're going to apply pressure. And we're going to switch our position and apply pressure. Now the tendency when we are using a massage ball is to roll, which is not a bad thing. However, when it comes to the feet, what the feet really crave is deep pressure. So a better way to utilize this is to explore the bottom of your foot, apply as much pressure as you can stand, hold that for a few seconds, and then switch your position, find a new spot, and apply more pressure. You want to do that not only along the MTP joint, but also along the lateral arch, the medial arch, and you can explore the transverse arch all the way to the heel. Another great way to utilize this tool is to release the Achilles and the calves. So what you're gonna do is place your low leg in the crease of the 8-ball and roll along the calf. Now, same thing here. If you find a tight spot, you can pause. You can even stack the other leg on top and apply a bit more pressure here to get deeper into the tissue. Now that we've covered fascial release, let's get into some stretching exercises. And we're going to start with the big toe. Now, the big toe, like I said, is one of the most important body parts you have. So we want to make sure that our big toe can go through extension like this, and this in and of itself can be a really great stretch. And we also want to make sure that we can take the big toe through flexion like this. Now, a really common issue that people have when it comes to the big toes is bunions. So I'm going to give you a little tip if you're dealing with bunions and you need to stretch the big toes. So we're going to take the Spacer Mobility toe band, we're going to double it up, we're going to place it on each big toe, and this in and of itself is a stretch as well. But what you can do from here is take the toe into extension here. And what this is doing is it's pulling the big toe into alignment. We're going to ground into the big toe joint and stretch. Next, let's stretch out the ankles. To start, we're going to do side foot stretch. So we're going to come down to the foot. We're going to roll onto the outside. And from here, you can really feel where you have tightness. For some people, this may be a bit much. You may need to cross the foot over and stretch that way. Just be aware that when you cross the foot over, we're going to be stretching a bit more up the chain. So the goal is to get to a point where we can roll the foot here and really target the ankle. The next ankle stretch we're going to work on is top of foot. So in order to do this one, we're going to come down to the foot. We're going to place the foot behind us, try to get the top of the toes on the ground, and hold. For our last ankle stretch, we're going to come down into a half kneeling position and work on ankle dorsiflexion. Now, if you remember from before, we're going to drive the knee forward and stretch the back. So this is going to hit the Achilles and the calves. So from here, we're going to drive forward as far as we can and come out of it. If you can hold down here for an extended period of time, that's great, but you can also come in and out of it, hold for maybe 2 to 5 seconds, and repeat. For the last portion of the stretching exercises, I'm going to show you how to do a few resting positions. So in order to do that, we're going to come down to the ground. And the first one we're going to do is a kneeling top of foot stretch. Now this position here might be difficult for some. That's totally fine. What you can do to modify is grab a pillow, a foam roller, and we just place it somewhere on the calves and then sit back. That will decrease the range of motion so that more people can access the movement. Now, from this position, we're going to tuck the big toes under and go into big toe extension. That looks like this. And same thing, we're going to come back and rest on our heels. Now, if you're dealing with bunions here, your big toes are probably going to want to cling to all the little toes. Do your best to maintain a straight big toe. And if you need to, you can incorporate that band again. For the last kneeling stretch, I'm going to show you the pinky toe pull, which is one of my favorites. So we're going to go back to top of foot, kneeling. Now you're going to take your fingers and we're going to grab the pinky toe. And we're going to pull not just up, but also out. So if you think of a toe splay, we're pulling that pinky toe into its proper alignment, into its proper spot. And the very last resting position that I'm going to show you is one that we should all be able to do, but many of us can't, and that is the deep squat. In order to get into a deep squat, ideally, our feet are somewhat parallel, but if you need to, we can send the feet out a little bit. And from there, we're going to dip our hips down as low as we can go. Ideally, we can hang out down here. We can play, we can eat, but if this is uncomfortable or inaccessible, you can modify this by getting a stool, a pillow, or even sitting on chairs. Just remember that the goal is to be able to rest in this position, but it just may take some time, and that's totally fine. You're not expected to be able to do this after 3 tries. Another problem area that a lot of people have is really scrunched up toes. Now, in order to restore a natural toe splay, which will not only allow you to access the intrinsic muscles in the feet, but it's going to help you walk better, it's going to help you squat better, it's going to help you in a lot of different ways. Now, a great tool to use are the spacer mobility toe spacers. And these are great because they're a passive way to release the tension in the feet. Now, with the spacer mobility toe spacers, you want the curved part to go down into the toes. And if you look at both sides, one side has a squiggly line. We want the squiggly line face down. Now what I have here are the 4 loop, so there's no loop on the pinky toe. So the loop is going to go on the big toe. It may take you some time to get these on for the first time. Don't worry, it will get easier. Just give yourself some patience and grace. Now if you were using the 5 loop, you would see a loop around the pinky toe. In terms of which is better, it's really down to preference and what you're using them for. Now, how to utilize these in real time? Well, we want to start slow. We need to start with passive, meaning we're going to put them on maybe for 10 or 15 minutes while we're watching TV. We're not putting any load on the feet or our body. From there, you can start walking around a little bit. Walk around your house, do some chores while wearing the toe spacers. And don't worry, your body will tell you when they are ready to come off. And from there, ideally, we start moving in these. We want to wear these while we are squatting, lunging. If you go to the gym or if you have any kind of movement routine, you want to do that with the toe spacers on, and that will greatly accelerate your process with restoring a natural toe splay. Now that I've shown you how to use a variety of these tools, let's try to put it together so you can incorporate it into your daily routine. My first tip is to store the toe spacers and the 8-ball together, and store it somewhere obvious. You don't want to put it in a drawer where you can't see it. We need to be able to see these things. We need to make it obvious. And what you're going to do every time you pass it in the morning, in the afternoon, for your evening routine, you're going to put the toe spacers on, you're gonna roll your feet for 5 minutes. That's it. Wear the toe spacers for as long as you can, and that's it. You can go about your business. Next, with the rock mat, we're gonna store the rock mat at a sink. It can be your kitchen sink, it can be your bathroom sink, it could even be in your laundry room if you have a designated space for that. The idea is to place it somewhere in your house where you are stepping on it frequently for short durations of time. This exposure really adds up in the long run. When it comes to the toe band, I love to store this with the remotes. So every time you go to grab the remote to watch your favorite show, you grab the toe band with it. Put it on the toes. You can do it seated, laying down, standing, but grab the toe band, double it up if you need to, place it on the big toes, and that is a great stretch. And last but not least is the Spacer Mobility Revive Balm. This is one of my favorite tools here, and it's because it's so versatile. You don't just use this for your feet, you can put it over your whole body. And with this, when it comes to training the feet, it's just like any other part of the body. They're gonna get sore. So using the Revive Balm to massage the feet, even put it all over and then place some socks on is a really great way to help those sore, achy feet feel a lot better. We've gone through a lot of techniques for release. We've covered fascial release using the Spacer Mobility 8-ball, we've covered stretches, we've covered resting positions, we've covered toe spacers, and we've covered how to utilize these tools in your daily routine. Now, be patient with yourself and take it one step at a time. The best thing you can do is short durations with a lot of frequency. So even if you spend 2 minutes doing one of the stretches, and then you spend 15 minutes in the toe spacers, do that every day. That's going to add up a lot quicker than just designating a one-time 30-minute session.